Right, as most of you who watch my videos are probably aware, my name's the Exo-Engineer. And I've had people ask me, why am I called the Exo-Engineer? Let me show you. Right, a while ago, probably about 3 years ago, I started designing and building an Exo-Suit. While it worked and it fit me as it was designed to do, I didn't like it. The reason I didn't like it was because, number one, all of the joints and everything were nothing was fit together properly. It was all like either not straight or everything was just flopped around. But yeah, it was a good prototype, but it didn't do anything other than sit there and look like crap. This thing, of course, on an angle. This is what I mean. These, you can't see that. Yeah, here. These are not lined up. They're just like bolted together. Everything just flops around and nothing works properly. That sun is really annoying. Anyway, that's my first prototype. I will show you a snippet of the whole thing. I'll show you a snippet of the whole thing and all the joints of it and what I was talking about, and then I'll show you something else. Okay, so here's the suit here. This here is what I meant by the joints. There, that's what I meant by the joints. They're just bolted together like that. It's not very good. Everything is just floppy and just wobbles around. The welds here are terrible. That's just the main frame of it. All these things here are really uncomfortable. They're sharp. And overall, the whole thing's just doesn't cut it. I did try and do the legs here, which again, floppy. So I decided, well, that's not good enough. Let's try again. And welcome to Mark II. This one is, as I said before, it's fully wearable. It's a lot more comfortable. This time it's all aluminium, which means it's a lot lighter. There we go. It's a lot lighter. It's a lot more maneuverable, and it's just better. This time I have the pneumatics under here. I've actually installed them. I've put it on. Hey, there's wind. Lovely. This time I've also got these black straps here holding me into it, and I've got the button control panel there. That's going to be difficult to learn to use, but it'll be alright. Also, this time I have a lot more range of movement. I still need to add one more joint, which is up here. I add another hinge here, which makes me be able to do that. I can't do that currently. I can go up and out, but I can't just go straight up, which is a bit annoying. I will get that fixed later, but yeah. This time also, as you may have noticed, there are no legs to it. I'm going to do the legs later. I just want to get the top half worked out properly first. And I'm also going to have other pneumatics at the back of my arm, up back here, to do that, to have that motion powered, like that one is. I don't have a very good range of motion, but it's usable for now. I'm just happy that it's actually working as I like it, and it's movable, lighter, more functional, more practical, more, well, just better in general. As I said, I still got to put another joint on it, but that will come later. Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to be doing, it's dark again. Anyway, in this video, what I'm going to be doing is the wiring of it, which is going to be fun. So I've got to wire up these buttons. At the moment, I'm only going to be doing the top two on each side, which will be for that motion. And I have solenoid valves, which I'm going to be used to be controlling the air, and a pressure tank on the back with a compressor. Okay, so here I have two lengths of wire. It's just, well, it's 240 volt light wire, but this is what I'm going to be using to tell the solenoid valves when to turn on. So at the moment, well, yeah, now I'm just going to wire up the switches to one side. There is the red and the white, but I'm actually not using that for, there's only going to be one polarity, which is probably going to end up going to be negative, both of them. And I will have, that'll be negative, and then I'll have the actual wire going into it as a black one here. This black wire running from the battery to the switches, and then these two wires here will be running back to the solenoid valves to tell them when to turn on when I push the button. So now I just got to solder all this together. Wish me luck. Right, so 4 hours later, that soldering iron is useless. So in the end, I resorted to hot gluing. So I hot glued the 4 buttons, because I only need 4 at the moment. I'll do the rest of them when I do the rest of the Exo-Suit. I've got 4 buttons here, all hot glued. The reason I use hot glue is because every time I tried to solder with it, the soldering iron wasn't hot enough to melt the lead instantly, and what it was doing is it was actually melting the inside of the button. So in the end, what I had to do was, well, as I said, hot glue. I hot glued them all together, all the wires to the buttons, and all I'm going to do is use connectors and put the ends of the wires to the connectors to the rest of the white cable, and then that goes back to the solenoids and the battery. Right, so I'll do all the connections and everything, and then I'll fit the solenoids. Okay, so I got all these, well, yeah, I've taken the insulation off all of these, and then I have these little connectors here, which I can just screw them, that's out of focus, screw them down, and then I've also have these little connectors as well, and those will be for the black wires, and these ones will be for the other ones. Alright, so let's get all those connected up. Okay, so I've got these 4 buttons here, and I just need to put those back into 2 there, and 2 there. Okay, so I've got this thing wired up. There's all wires hanging off it, up on both sides. Now what I need to do is I need to tape everything up to run it all the way up the arms. Okay, to run it up the arms and up here, down to the back. And yes, as you may notice, it is night time. I've been working on this thing since about 11 o'clock, and it's now about 6:30. That's just the wiring, by the way. Okay, so there's one side mostly done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the second side. I'm not going to show you that because, well, you see the first side and it's the same thing on the other side. It's probably boring. Yeah, so I'll do the other side and then I'll show you that once I am done. Okay, I'm all wired up. Well, yeah, mostly. All I need to do is the solenoids. Now, the solenoid valves. So for that, I need to find a place to put them and then wire them up to that. I also need to run wires from the other side of the solenoid valve, the positive pole of the solenoid valve, to the battery, because I'm going to have that wired directly to the battery, and the negative is going to be to all these button switches here. And then, when I do that, I'll be able to push these buttons and you'll be able to hear from all the solenoids when I turn them on and off. I will do that, but I'll do that another day. Still in this video, but another day, because it's night time and it's dark. So I'll do that another day, and you will see that later in the video. Right, next day. Okay, I lied, it's about 3 weeks later. Anyway, I have done a fair amount of stuff on this thing over the past 3 weeks. Not wiring, well, I have done a little bit of wiring, but not major stuff. Well, sort of. So what I've done is, you might notice these blue straps here. These are just like ratchet straps, just holding it on, because I don't think the original straps are strong enough to hold it on. I had to replace one of the wires, one of the buttons, and I had to remake it so there's a blue wire here instead of a black one. Other than that, well, actually, I've done a fair bit of stuff on it. Like, I've added that. Where is it? I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I've added that battery back here. This big one up here. I've added a ignition switch, which is that round thing. I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you a bit better later. And I've added the air tank. So hopefully now I can sort of figure out a place to put the solenoid valves and wire them up and all that sort of stuff. But for now, I'm just going to wire up the solenoid valves and show you it working. And then in the next video, I will do the pneumatics and stuff and get that all working. So, right. Okay, so what I've done is I've added this thing, which is an ignition switch. Got a little key under here, and that just plugs into there, and that will engage everything, so that will turn all the power on. I've added a little battery connection here and wired it up to another connector where I've got both negatives into the connectors with this little loop that goes from one of the sides to the other. I've got this board here, which I've done a similar thing but more times, which is going to be the positive the positive for the solenoid valves, and I've just got that directly wired up through here into this ignition switch, and then that's just wired directly to the battery. So all I've got to do now is put some wires from put these cables from here into these, and then go back out this side into the solenoid switches. And then I'm going to have the positive of the solenoid valves, not switches, solenoid valves into there, the positives into there, the negatives into somewhere over here, and then I should be able to press the buttons and hear clicking. So, and that means that the solenoid valves are working. Right, let's do that. Okay. Here, I have all the solenoid switches. Not switches, valves, you idiot. I got all the valves here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wire all those valves up to everything, and then after that I can test it and make sure everything works. Okay, let's get to that. Okay, so I've wired those up, which means all these ones here with these white cables running into it are the negatives, and all these ones here are the positives. I probably could have switched it around, and I might end up doing that later, but for now it doesn't matter. All I have to do now is wire up each of these, and I need 2 of them, so you might notice there's only 4 cables there, or 4 wires, and I've got 8 solenoid valves. 2 of each, in each of these connections there will be 2 solenoid valves, one for the air inlet to the cylinder and one for the air outlet out of the cylinder. So I need to wire them both together and then put them in the other end. Now let's do that. Okay, so I've wired up one side completely. It's a bit of a mess of wires, and I will probably end up cleaning those up, not cleaning them up, but end up fixing them up, like getting some tape or something and wrapping around them. But for now, that's alright. It works. Each of these work. So when I press a button, 2 of these, whichever that may be, 2 of them will activate at once. Yeah, so 2 of them activate at once. It's one side done. That's the left side. Yeah, the left side, that's completely done. Except for the pneumatics. But all I need to do now is I'll just do the right side, and then, yeah, well, that'll pretty much be this video done. Okay, so what I've done is I finished wiring up the other 2 solenoid valves. Other 4 solenoid valves, the other 2 sets of it, and I've also put some electrical tape on the cables that run down to them, just to neaten everything up a little bit, because otherwise it was an absolute jungle of wires, and it was nearly impossible to tell what was what. Now, I have everything wired up, so this is, the wiring's essentially done, except for the fact that I have to put a compressor on, but that's simply just wiring it up to this here, or maybe not even this, but just directly from this battery terminal, the ignition switch to the compressor, and then straight back down to the battery. So positive and negative. Positive straight from this battery ignition, the ignition switch, and negative from the negative straight to the negative of the compressor. But basically, it's done. What I need to do is I need to find a place to put all these, either temporarily just so I can walk around with it, or permanently, so it's, well, permanently there. Okay, I will show you testing this thing. Okay, what I've done now is I've just simply swapped over these 2 cables because they were crossed up. I swapped them over and temporarily shoved the solenoid valves underneath underneath the battery and on top of the air tank, just temporarily. So now I'm going to put this thing on, and I'm going to let you hear them clicking and, well, working. Rightio. This thing is nearly done. The wiring side of it was just done in the video you just saw. And pretty much it's, well, all the solenoids work, so you can hear those working. As I was saying earlier, just the solenoid valves are just sitting on top of the air tank, and I think I can do better than that. Other than that, I'm happy with how it's going so far. This is one of the most awesome and biggest projects I've ever done, and the most complicated. But other than that, I'm extremely happy with it. I love it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm the Exo-Engineer. See ya!